So what's up, Kyle?
Chilling at Taryn.
Um, yeah, thanks for joining us. Hey, everybody. Hyde here with Taryn. We've got another travel podcast episode going. Um, right now, we have Kyle Jones with us. Say hey, Kyle. What's up, man?
Hey guys, good to be here.
Kyle, uh, what's a weird thing that happened to you today?
My life is but a set of weird happenings, Casey.
So not one weird thing specifically, but you're just full of weird things.
I'll tell you one weird thing. It's the very first thing that happened this morning. I live off a crazy road, a very notorious road in Chattanooga called the W Road.
Oh yeah.
An infamous road full of crazy drivers. And it was a rainy morning, which always makes for a very interesting commute. And I got onto the W Road. I drove the entire W. I didn't see a single car.
Really?
Had it to myself in a very weird, peaceful way. Yeah, that was in a
Are you
very
in,
peaceful way. That was the weirdest thing that happened to me today.
nice? Or were you in your truck or on a bike?
No, I was in my ancient Corolla.
Nice. Oh yeah, of course, the Corolla. I forget. Well, sweet man. So for everyone who doesn't know, we are going through this book. I have not shown this to Kyle. I actually haven't told you much at all.
I know it exists.
Yes. Or yeah, we've talked about this book and about Potts before. Have you read the his other book, Vagabonding, yet? Or
I have not. Nope, it's on the list.
I got to get your copy. But this is Rolf Potts, The Vagabond's Way. I'm going to read this page. We're going to talk about it, and then I have a lot of other questions about your life and your travels and etc. And we're stoked to dig in here. So buckle up, buddy. All right. So this one is called "Most of the things we pack for a journey are not necessary." That's pretty solid, right?
Yeah.
Like that could be it. The pleasure of travel increases in direct proportion to the decrease of baggage. Richard Halliburton, The Royal Road to Romance, 1925. Late in the summer of 2010, I embarked on a journey that took me around the world, traveling through 12 countries on 5 continents over the course of 6 weeks, with no luggage or bags of any kind. Stowing a single change of clothing and a few small utility items, toothbrush, deodorant, smartphone, passport, emergency cash. In various vest and pants pockets, I designed the journey to be an intentional experiment in minimalist travel. Once I got into a travel rhythm, the baggage free aspect of the travel or the trip was simple. 2 a day showers kept me as clean as I'd ever been on the road, and daily washings of my socks, underwear, and t shirt kept my wardrobe looking and smelling great. I wrote and co produced a real time video series as my travel minimalism experience played out. And one of the initial narrative challenges was the fact that traveling with no luggage wasn't as difficult as I thought it might be. Thus, instead of dramatizing the hardships of travel with no luggage, my videos depicted the simple joys of taking a journey, touring Paris, wandering the markets of Morocco, going on safari in South Africa, taking a train from Thailand to Malaysia, ziplining through the New Zealand forest, with nothing to pack, nothing to lose, and nothing to slow me down. What I learned in the process is that each day of travel is a gift in and of itself. And most of what we pack for a journey, entertainment, gadgets, spare toiletries, just in case clothing items, has little bearing on the travel experiences we remember best. So, what do you think of that?
I think it's spot on. I'm trying to get better and better at that. I think each time I travel, my suitcase is just a little bit lighter and it feels really good.
What was like the first international trip? How much stuff did you bring that you didn't really need?
My first international trip,
Yeah.
my 14-year-old trip to Canada.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess, yeah. What is the trip and how much stuff did you have?
I was going on I was a camp counselor, and I was going on a counselor exchange between the U.S. camp and the Canadian camp version of this. And I don't know, I was a teenager, so I probably brought stupid shit like four t-shirts and a bunch of candy bars or something. But I think in recent times, as a mature adult that I am, um,
I
yeah,
think he still brings candy bars.
almost certainly. I only
Just
do
less t-shirts.
I only do sports for snacks. Let's be honest. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think of my first. I think my first international trip as an adult was to Greece, and I went with my wife actually, and we actually did attempt the backpacking thing. We had the duffel bags with backpack straps, and they were huge, and they were
What like liters are we talking about here?
too many liters. I can assure you that because it was heavy.
Like
It was a lot.
65, 85?
No, it's probably in that 50 to range, 50, 60 range, something like that. But yeah, it's the just in case, right? It's all kinds of just in case stuff. And I probably ran out of underwear on day 4, and I had like 8 t-shirts that smelled great at the end of the trip. So just yeah, I mean, this is a journey, right? Trying to figure out what you need, what you don't, figure out the clothes that work, um, and just I think also just letting go of caring too much maybe helps
Oh
too.
yeah.
So it's a learning experience.
Is there anything that you think is like a recent thing that you've let go? Like if you can think about how you pack for a trip, an adventure trip or travel, like you're traveling a lot for work right now. Is there anything that like you recently like decided I don't need to bring this ever? There's it. I'll stop
Uh,
talking.
yeah, I think if I'm letting go of anything, maybe it's the fear of somebody that I'm traveling with or that is with me kind of looking at me like, didn't you wear that like 2 days ago or yesterday or a week ago?
Nice.
And it sounds kind of dumb to say, like, why would you be afraid of that? But um, I don't know, you want to care about I think most people care about what they look like. And it just doesn't matter that much. And I don't think people even notice anyway. So I've taken to just traveling with very basic, not even patterns, just very plain shirts and something that no one really even noticed what you're wearing, let alone think to ask. But yeah, I think letting go of there's it not bothering you to look the same every other day.
Yeah, there's a value there. If it's not rememberable, it's harder to remember. Um,
Yeah.
so how do they know if it's this thing that you wore on Monday on a Thursday? And then I would say if you're traveling for like work purposes, you might like you need a nice shirt for a meeting, but then the people that you're working with who are traveling with you might see you wear the same shirt twice. But like when you're traveling in one city and then the next city you have another meeting, if you're only wearing that nice shirt for like an hour, then it's not like it doesn't smell yet,
Yeah.
So like you don't need to bring 3 different shirts just because your coworkers you're traveling with see you in the same shirt 3 times. But if you're in 3 different cities having 3 different meetings, like it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. You keep that shirt nice and you take it off and then you put on a merino tee that you can wear for 3 weeks straight and no one will know the difference.
Nice. What a segue you just threw there. Kyle has a lot of Terran gear. You're currently wearing. What are you wearing?
Oh, don't quiz me on the names. It's a merino shirt. It's amazing. I live in these things. I
Yep,
love them.
that's our traveler tee. It
Traveler
comes in
tee.
short and long
Yep.
advertisements.
It is spring here in Chattanooga, but it's a little bit nippy today.
Hmm.
So I threw on the mid layer, the zip up fleece.
It's our daily driver fleece. How many Terran pieces do you think you have in total?
Couple pants, merino shirts, couple short sleeve. I think I got 2 long sleeves.
I'm at 7 right now. I'm not sure. When he says a couple, I'm just adding a couple.
This guy.
Hmm.
Um, and I rocked the Terran shell this morning because it was dumping.
Dude, it was 100% chance of rain and it's going to be perfect the rest of the week. It's like, nope, today's going to dump.
Yeah. So kept me dry on my way into the office.
I think
And
you're in double digits.
oh, for sure.
Okay,
Yeah, for
sweet.
sure.
So out of all those pieces, do you have a favorite?
I'm wearing it. I
Nice.
freaking love these merino tees.
And what's the longest you've been with without washing it? I promise I wasn't. The goal wasn't to embarrass you. I'm like, yeah. Do you
I
stop?
mean,
You stop bringing T-shirts?
define wash. I mean, how is like, I, I went swimming, washing.
Perhaps. Let's define wash by putting it in a washing machine.
Oh,
How?
oh
What's the
man,
longest period of time that you've gone
weeks,
without
weeks for sure.
2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Um, I think in the winter when I'm like only mildly sweating instead of the summer where it's just like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
think about being outside, you're going to start sweating. Um, I'm sure it's been 3 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, for me, sometimes I forget and I hang it up and I put a different color on. So technically I could have worn that for like 2 weeks and then hang it up in my closet and then forget that I've already worn it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I'm all of a sudden wearing it for another 2 weeks and hang it up. So I'm not sure if
Yeah. My wife laughs at me because yeah, I mean, you've got your clothes and I try and keep like, I wore this for a week and this came out of the wash. I keep them separate. But yeah, the shirts are, um, they're intentionally plain looking and you lose track of what's what. And, so I do the sniff test and you take it off and that's fine. And you put it over. And wow, it's just like shakes her head. She's like, that's so gross. I was like, smell it. It's fine. And if it smells now, wait till the morning and it won't smell. So I am very guilty of just letting it go way too long, for sure.
that's nice. Is there anything else? So you actually gave like a concept to let go of. Is there any like physical travel items that you've stopped bringing on your trip that's lightened your load?
Um, I think if you can dial in your shoe game, that'll go a long way. I think finding a pair of shoes that's just like this pair of shoes. See, the problem, we could go philosophical real fast here, but if you're the challenge is how do you get something that does everything well, um, but because of that, it's not going to do any one thing very well. So I think it depends on the kind of trip, but um, if you're gonna, I think dialing that shoe wear of a shoe that's like can do almost everything great. Maybe, if it's just a general travel, see the world kind of trip, you really need one pair of shoes. Make sure they look okay, not flashy.
What
Something,
pair of shoes did you bring to the Dolomites?
not the best shoe. It was fine. Ideally, that would have been like an approach shoe of some kind. Looks okay. But obviously, you can, helps you get up out of the walls and hiking and all that stuff that we were doing. I was in a pair of really old ultra running shoes, which was very exciting climbing some of those slick limestone via Ferratas. But I'm still here today, so we did it.
So, an episode or two back, Caleb Timmerman was here with us. He went to the Dolomites with us, and Kyle was on that trip as well. It was the three of us. We did everything from fly fishing, biking. Uh, we were riding Vespas around Lake Garda. They did some via Ferrata, some rock climbing, scrambling, hiking, etc. And that's the trip we're talking about here. I was so I was hoping you said you were going to say like an item, and then because my item is shoes.
Oh, okay.
Because exactly what you said, if you can find one pair of shoes that's like looks good enough for like around town or like going to dinner, um, to me, shoes is what takes up the most amount of space in my bag these days. If I need to have two pairs of shoes, and so my goal is to have one pair of shoes, but like I'll throw in some super lightweight sandals if just in case, or like to have a if my shoes get wet kind of thing.
It is nice to have, yeah, if or when your shoes get wet, if you're doing your trip right, right?
So
Yeah, having that lightweight pair is definitely like a minimal kind of sandals or something. Definitely is nice. But yeah, two pairs of shoes to like do two different things in is just lots of space and weight. Don't
so
need it.
so I love that. I think something you said is like if and when if you're doing your trip right, because that's the kind of trips that I love. Even 2 weeks prior to going to Italy with you guys, I was in Colombia and doing some awesome things down there. But like, tell us about some of your trips that you've done recently that might describe that the right way to do a trip.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of where I've been since then. So I travel a lot for work as well. So where I'm traveling for work and where I'm traveling for fun and where I'm tagging on fun after work all kind of gets mixed up. I was just out visiting a client in the Front Range in Colorado and decided to tag on an extra day or two just to have some fun. Um, and it's that same thing. It's like I already have to have steel toe boots for my job. So that I'm talking about bulky, heavy shoes. Geez. And so I'm very limited on the space to have left. And so what shoe is going to be? Clearly, it's an approach shoe because I'm going to be want to be up in the mountains. It needs to be something that can handle the snow in Rocky Mountain National Park, but also, able to do a scramble on the flat irons or something. So, um, yeah, I took extra pair of approach shoes with me, and it was great. Did everything.
And you've been on, you went with us to the Dolomites. That's a adventure travel, or like that's a style where you're definitely going to get your shoes wet, or your gear is going to get some, whether that be your apparel, your pack, your shoes, whatever. It's going to get some use and abuse out of it. Um, what other big adventures, or where else have you been in the past couple years that really like just kind of you can let loose on that adventure?
Um, so, an experimental Terran trip to
Yeah,
Switzerland, with my buddy Cody, was an awesome trip. I don't think Terran specifically designs clothing, correct me if I'm wrong, for cycling, but we
we are not a
decided,
cycling company,
yeah,
but you can cycle in our gear. We're more of that, almost what you described of like we don't have that specific niche or activity or outdoor sport, but a lot of times you get when you get that hyper specific gear, you can't do anything else either. So you've got to pack 2 times, 3 times as much.
yeah. Well, we put the Terran clothes to test. My buddy Cody and I took a trip to Switzerland and Italy 2 summers ago, and it was a biking trip, gravel bikes. So we biked the mountains for 2.5 weeks. Pretty much just took Terran clothes, with the exception of a pair of bike shorts, just to keep our poor butts from handling the saddle for 2.5 weeks. And they work great. I mean, really, really well. Considering it's not a cycling specific cut or brand, we are very comfortable. And again, just like I was saying, we were at the highest elevations. We're like freezing our butts off up in some of these mountain passes in the Alps, and then down to the pre-Alps in Italy, where we just felt like we were in Florida. It was super humid, and hot, and everything in between. And the clothes did great. So that was a super fun. We didn't really plan the trip, which I think is really fun to do. We just kind of had general like, let's spend a week here, spend a week down here. We'll come back up here. You could do that in Europe with the trains. It's you can plan last minute. We brought light camping gear. We were bike packing, so we didn't have like tons and tons of weight with us. But we had a tent split with us, sleeping bags, sleeping pad, and that's about it. The clothes on our back. So it was great. It was a super fun trip.
Nice. So, what's like an epic memory from that
Oh
trip,
man,
or like,
so many. The infamous memory is Cody getting really sick on the second day,
oof,
and we just chalked it up to either elevation or he, was dumb and didn't drink water on the airplane to hydrate or just something silly, right? But he was, oh man, he was in a rough spot. I basically walked his bike up over the tallest pass of the trip, my bike and his bike, and the poor guy was just like struggling, just like one foot in front of the other. It's like hours to go, like just a couple miles. And we're just like, we got to get this guy out of the elevation. And so we get back down to one of the towns, try and get some food. He's like slowly feeling better. And then just get a hotel, sleeps. He wakes the next morning. He's like, oh, I'm feeling so much better. I needed to get out of the Alpine. I was like, good, I'm glad. I go and eat breakfast. 30 minutes later, I'm like, huh, I'm not feeling so good.
Ooh.
Yeah, hour later, I'm just like puking my guts out. Just this is clearly a virus. Thank you, Cody, for giving me that virus. Travel buds. Yeah, so it was like between the two of us, it was 4 days of just like totally leveled. So that was the infamous part of that trip. I think the like epic memory is just being in this incredible, like biking through this incredible landscape. Somehow in this, you know, like developed first world. I mean, there's like ski lifts everywhere. Every pass has a bar with Aperol spritzes. You're like, well, we just climbed a 4,000-foot climb. Of course, we're going to stop and grab a beer or a spritz. Um, and it's developed and it's amazing. It's convenient. And then you get out in these sections between where you're just like, um, just felt wild and awesome and just stunning. And seeing pictures of the Alps and finally being there. I think being in that element with a good friend was such fun memories.
Nice. Do you need to charge or plug in? We can pause it and I can cut this.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you can go for that. I saw that pop up and I was like, ooh, that might be something. This is when I drink more Red Bull. Any questions or anything? I was just going, I'm just trying to pick and poke and find fun things. I don't know. All right, more Red Bull and then we go.
We're back.
You know what the last thing you said was?
Something about memories.
Memories.
Being in these epic places.
Yeah.
With a friend.
So, like, that's the past. Like, what else you got cooking? You got any fun next adventures or?
Always. I have a laundry list.
You've sent me a couple of those. I love it. I love seeing these lists because, like, I'm like, ooh, I want to do that. We're like, ooh, how do I get in shape enough to keep up with Kyle for this one?
I haven't been doing anything, so you might be catching up quick. So this is a big year for me. Every year when I turn whatever age I turn, try and do some fun outdoor thing that kind of has that age in it. Maybe when I turned 35, I ran 35 miles up in Pisgah National Forest with a big crew. It was super fun. I'm trying what I did last year.
Last year, I can tell you.
Oh, you joined me
last year. It was 39. It was a 39-minute bike race that you made
competition.
Bike competition. So we get in pairs of 3. Well, actually, first, this was like planned. It's on your birthday. This is kind of the day to do it. And then a tsunami comes through Chattanooga. And I don't know if there was going to be more people or not, or how many people were invited, but like a group of 10 of us or 9 of us show up. And we were all kind of like, we're still doing this. So we broke into teams of 3. And the idea was, so Chattanooga has 4 bridges. It's kind of our over the river. It's like our downtown. It's iconic. It's awesome. But one's an interstate, one's a walking bridge, and then one's like veterans, and then Margaret are more just like car bridges. But the idea was like you get points when you go over a bridge. If you go over all 4 bridges, you get more points. If you do go to the highest elevation, you get points. You pick up trash, you get points. Every beer you drink, you get points. It's just like a combination of all these like fun things. This is like one of the first times that this was leading up to our Dolomites trip.
Yep.
And Kyle and I have known each other for a long time, but we haven't hung out as much. And I think I got the invite because he was like, I got to make sure I like this guy before I go on this 10-day trip with him to another country. And so then somehow I got on a team with our buddy Luke, who picked up a filing cabinet off the like interstate bridge, and we were like biking together. And I look at him, I was like, "You got this?" And he's like, "I got this." So he starts running his bike with the filing cabinet on top, like holding it about, I don't know, like a mile and a half, 2 miles to the finish line. And then the other people, like, chose that high elevation or whatever, or drink as many beers or whatever it is, cross as many bridges, and we ended up beating you.
Oh yeah, you guys won on trash, but that's
Yeah,
the game. Play the game, right?
play the game. But I love that about you. Every year you find something new to do and be creative. I'm sure there's a page in this book that talks about that. But yeah, I love that. Do you know what you're doing this year? Is that
So
where you're
yeah,
going?
that's where I was going with it. So
Nice.
this is the big 4-0 for me, and trying to decide, can my legs handle 40 miles right now? I have not really been like ultra training, and trying to recover from chronic injuries, but I don't know. It's 40. I got to do something big and fun and outlandish and probably sufferable.
Are you thinking like
So
40, like on the trail, or like?
yeah, so I've got a few contenders, a few 40-mile things. If I don't know if I'll run them, but certainly like single, like light and fast pushes. So there's a peak up in the Cascades that's a 20-mile approach. That's an 8 or 10 pitch climb and 20 miles out. So that gets my 40 miles.
Okay.
Um, there's a couple just state high points that are kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Gannett Peak, and there's one of them, Wyoming. That's on my list to do. So I might go do that. Honestly, I'm gonna stay local. I've not spent a ton of time in the Smokies, which is ridiculous given how close they are to Chattanooga.
That was my backyard growing up.
Yeah, I mean it's incredible. It's such a beautiful place. But I think a 40-mile fast pack run around the Smokies would be super fun too. So we'll see.
If you have turned 40 before and done something like this, leave a comment, give Kyle some advice, or if you just have ideas in your area that you're like, oh man, that's actually 40 miles or close to, yeah, let us know. I'm sure Kyle would love
It'd be great.
more and more things to add to the list. That's never ending. I'm turning 34 this year.
All right.
What am I?
What you thinking?
I don't know. I've got to come up with my list. I just got the Obed gravel bike, but that seems, I I might have to add a zero
For miles?
for miles. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
Uh,
34 miles doesn't seem that bad on a bike.
my one of my good friends just turned 29, 29, and I was telling her about this idea and the birthday thing and doing an outing that incorporates that number. And I just threw out like we should do a 29-mile. She's not a big cyclist, but she likes being outside. She's in decent shape. Let's do a 29-mile bike ride. Super chill. Let's make sure we get 2,900 feet of elevation gain in it.
Oh,
And it was the right amount of suffer. It was perfect. Any more suffer would not have been fun. Any less, not memorable.
I'm curious if,
So
yeah, the element of adding the second 29 to it
yeah,
makes it interesting.
our mutual friend Luke calls that the golden ratio. Thousand feet of climbing per 10 miles.
Okay.
So you have to book a ride that hits that golden ratio.
All right. Well, I like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do some research there. I'm just now getting into the sport, so I say 34 miles doesn't seem that much. I'm gonna go cry about it the next time I attempt a 34-mile ride. Well, sweet man. So I think this is going a little like completely divergent from what we're talking about, but I want to talk about this because you said something earlier, and I liked it, and I went a different angle, but you said something about gear that doesn't do, or that does it all, doesn't do one thing particularly like well, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, but I want to ask you about the puffy that I'm wearing. So, in the Dolomites on our trip, it was, I think it was difficult for you to come up with things that you like about this puffy, right?
Um, I think it. I think the puffy does what it says it does. It is that middle, like it's not going to keep you warm if you're, in the Cascades in the winter. But will it keep you warm in 90% of the places, maybe 95% of the places you're going to travel? Totally. And will you look good doing it? Yeah, I think it's a good looking puffy.
But Kyle, the other day, like why I want to ask you about this. Like I'm fine with. I think you just tried to be politically correct because you want
All right,
to be positive.
out with the
Be
question,
real
please.
with me. So in the Dolomites, you were like, I don't know. It's like because it doesn't have that 5% for you and what you want out of like a puffy, I think it misses it, right? But then months later, you texted me a picture of you and this puffy working on your house. And do you remember that?
I do. Yeah.
Do you remember what you said?
I think I was egging you on about becoming a workwear brand.
Yes. So Kyle has you're working on building your own house, right? On the
Yes.
W Road.
Yep.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you used this puffy as your puffy for that project because you didn't want to ruin your other puffies and you were willing to ruin this one that you had because of that missing 5%. Is that somewhat correct?
I've got my like keeps me super warm at Blaze up in the mountains puffy that I just don't want to rip on a 2x4 because it's high quality down. It's very expensive. Try and take good care of it. Um, but I have this Terran puffy that kind of does everything okay, and it's like, well, I have this. I'll wear this, and so yeah, I wore it all last winter, cutting in the road into the property on the excavator, and then have worn it all this winter building this house. And I gotta say, thing looks fine. Looks great.
When I got this text, it actually made me like super proud because I know this is like you love that other puffy for sure. And I want us at Terran, we want everyone to love our gear, right? Like that's why we make gear. We make gear to solve problems. We make gear to be the piece that you want to grab off the shelf. And it wasn't that for you in certain categories. And I was like, man, that sucks. Like why? Or like I knew why, but like when you texted me that the other day, it was in December. Uh, you were like, dude, this thing will not die.
It won't
It
die.
is you
Yeah,
might
it's crazy.
even have texted. I might be able to find this, but yeah, you texted me that, and it felt so good in the sense of I'm finding this. I think we text strategically enough that I can find this. Yep. Make sure there's all the other texts are work appropriate. That's a weird angle. Whenever this goes on like just audio type podcast, this is going to be a
Yeah.
weird pause. But yeah, it was awesome. It was cool because you found like a new use case for it, and that just made me really happy. I don't know what angle I'm trying to go at here, but it like worked. Is there? I guess like a question from that is like, is there anything else like recently in life, gear wise or job wise or adventure or sport that you've chosen that has like surprised you?
That has what?
Surprised you?
Um, yeah, I think
Maybe for the better, I guess is what it surprised you for the better because there's a lot of
yeah,
surprises that don't necessarily are for the better. But yeah,
yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been very impressed with the Terran lineup of clothes and the durability. I think a lot of clothes that offer comfort and stretchability, things like that, come at the sacrifice of comfort. And I've been, I'm no, I'm kind of known to be a bit of a cynic, and of course, it's like, okay, another new clothing brand featuring comfort. I'm really mean to clothes and shoes. I will wear this out
I
instantly.
mean, we talked about it. You wore that for like 3 weeks, that tee, and you're like, it doesn't smell. I'll
Yeah,
keep wearing it.
I wore this to work today. Yeah, I've been really impressed, especially the pants and the jackets.
I was also asking just anything, not Taryn, but
Yeah,
thank
well,
you for going the Taryn route. That's good for us.
that's the surprise. Yeah, no, that's what landed on my head, just because it has been a surprise for the better. Um, what else? What else what are you digging for?
I don't know. Something that surprised you, like for me. Okay, an example for me. I tore my ACL, MCL, and meniscus twice. I've started to work out, and it's I've never been a guy who goes to the gym. Like I hike, I climb, I get outside, I try to work in my yard, try to stay active and fit that way. Bike, trail run, whatever. Um, but I'm surprised at how much I like going to the gym. It like makes me. I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to hit the gym before work, so I feel good. I have energy. I think there's a lot of science behind that, but which is why it shouldn't have surprised me. But yeah, it's surprisingly a new little hobby, and I like it.
I, I'll I'll piggyback on that. I too have been going to the gym the last few years. Work's gotten busy, and it's just like if you're going to prioritize this, you got to figure out how to do it efficiently. And gone are the days of just climbing,
And
you
having a
know, every other.
metabolism,
What's that?
and having a metabolism.
Yeah, yeah, that too. Jeez. No, I mean, it just, life and responsibility. And I don't have all day, 3 days a week to just do whatever, climb, bike, whatever I'm in the mood for. And so, yeah, I think if you value your fitness and thinking longevity, your comment about the science, I mean, there's a lot of good science about having muscle mass and body mass going into like I said, 40s, the back half of life. You're setting yourself up for success. So I too have been in the gym, and it's been quite surprising. I am eating my words, many, many years of words of making fun of gym rats. And no, it feels really good to move around heavy weight. And yeah, it's 45 minutes, 60 minutes first thing in the morning, and you feel like you've done something good. So um, also surprising.
We're right on. Yeah, well, thanks for being honest with us. Yeah, I love that you're transparent and honest. That doesn't mean cynic. But yeah,
Thank you.
I love that. And yeah, we try to be as honest as possible. And I wanted to pull that out of you. All the guests that we're having on this podcast, I want them to be honest as possible. I don't want them to just like um, kiss my butt for Taryn. And I know Kyle is honest, and I'm stoked on that. Right before we go, any travel pro tips that we haven't talked about? I kind of forced you into like, is there something you should leave? But is there any other type of travel pro tip that you have as a sign off?
Oh man, Weather Underground. I think the only tip is just like I think the more we can go into trips and traveling with a little bit of flexibility, less like planned out, and more just creating the opportunity for spontaneity. I think the more honest and definitely more memorable your trips will be. So that's my leave off tip.
Right on. And if with that, we'll leave. Cheers.